it seems that with the isness, there is no need to carry any mental baggage, as one could focus on anything and instantly know the in and out of it. So does living in the isness not result in a terrifying void or emptiness of the mind, a loss of consciousness, Duane?
Okay, so what's the idea?
Yeah, because it would appear that the isness would result in fact, keeping the mind in abeyance, where there is no need to carry any mental load, as one could focus on anything. Like, for instance, when you are talking, like responding to questions here and making comments, it's not like you pre-prepared anything to say. What you say just comes like that from the ethers. So I want to know whether living in the isness it's like a skill that one has to learn how to do it, because people have become addicted to holding on to the mind. So, but living in the isness probably entails some emptying of the mind. It creates a voidness, maybe a loss of consciousness that could be terrifying to some people. So I don't know whether you have something to say about this.
That's like one of those 1-minute movie trailers, isn't it? Terrifying and in the void and all these things. And where is he? He's lost. Okay, etc. So actually, it's none of that. And so it's really none of anything that you said. This is what's so cool about it. Mm-hmm. Real freedom is just a reference, okay? Because it doesn't even define really anything, because the isness is what it is. So we are experiencing what it is not, and we need to recognize that too. But what the isness is, and yes, it's like a skill. You would say, yes, with your, articulating how you relate to it, what it is. And so the misconception comes in with this reality. You see, again, we talked about belief and all these things. So people create an idea that refers to the idea that's been already created. So in other words, people have the belief idea, that's a created idea, and they refer it to the God idea, which is another idea, is all it is, because people don't know their God, so they got to refer to the idea of it. Well, with the isness, it's not that. It cannot be that, otherwise you're really not seeing it. And it is a skill, like anything else, like anybody's mastered anything, like I surf, or people are, can swing a hammer and hit the nail head, etc. It's a skill that, yes, and we're going through this motion here, which is very interesting. All the motions that we're going through is to, eventually wake up to decide how we're going to focus on this particular skill of recognizing this reality that cannot be recognized in the common sense. And this is the fun part of it, I see. To catch on to this, it really kind of makes you giggle. And yes, it is a skill. It's awesome. It really is. And the part is that there is really, realistically, there is no unconsciousness. The personal self is unconscious. And dealing with the personal self is an unconsciousness. But the reality life is, it's all aware. It's an all awareness, and it's all aliveness. It's just not the spirit idea, you see? Because really, again, that is the reflective light in through creation, which is knowledge. That's all it can be. So people think that's the real light, but it's not alive. It's a reflective. It's a reflective part of creation that is necessary. It's all necessary. So again, yes, this is a skill. This is what I see, and yes, it's good you brought that up, to articulate this, and best of all, not just to have it in your mind, you might say, that, oh, I know this or I experience this. It's not about that. I don't sit there and flaunt that, oh, I know this or whatever. It's not about that. It's about how do you figure out how to demonstrate it in some way in every sense throughout the whole of life, and that includes creation itself. It's very, very important. But yet, what is first? Okay, so what is first with everything? So, it is a skill to recognize, first of all, your real awareness, and then a relationship. And how does this relationship truly work with this isness, you see? And on, you will say, all levels. So let's just bring it down to the physical level here. And that is that, okay, so what do you do in the physical sense? Do you just sit around cross-legged and look cool and say cute things? Is that what you do? Is that the real relationship with this isness? I don't see it as that at all. Again, I just explained many times, like the Orion thing with the Queen and whatever. That was confrontation. That was abrasive. She wasn't happy about that at all. So again, it wasn't about her happiness, was it? But it did make sense with what's going on in the world, because she was contributing to the destruction of the planet, because she sees us as bugs. That's very real. Okay, see it from her viewpoint. She could care less. And so, the attitude on Orion has changed too because of that. So again, it's interesting, the ideas that we have as we try to approach this reality, you might say. So we use these ideas, and again, approach is, no, there's no such thing, because it's an isness. Yeah, it's like the sun shining. Do you approach the sun? Do you do any of these things? If you need something for your mind as a reference, use the sun. Every idea you can think of, does it relate to the sun in some way? Oh, I like the sun, or I don't like the sun. Does that have anything to do with the sun? No, it has nothing to do with it. This is the fun part, to recognize what it is demonstrating. It's kind of like you become like this little kid. It's like, oh, wow, I see it. Yeah. And then, so what are you going to do next? Huh? You can do something? Or are you just going to be dull like you've always been? So again, it's interesting, the experience that we each have with life and the end result of what we do. So again, there is no idea that relates to it. You have to accordingly create ideas that reference it of a particular. This becomes, a heck of a challenge to do this and make sense of it. But at the same time, how's it going to make sense to the world itself? So again, that's why I'm doing the projects. That's why I created all these things, the Worldwide Educators, the Universal Surfers, and just on, because I want to get Rebisar out there. I want to get his name out there, and there's a bigger picture that's coming with this, a much, much bigger picture. It's going to be a real surprise to this world, and I'm very focused on it until it happens. So whatever it takes, I'm very focused on it to where it will become so here through all of creation. So it's no longer from here to there. Again, these are ideas. It's an isness. And through this isness, you have a complete awareness. That's why I wondered what to call the courses in the beginning. And so I thought, okay, here we are. We're at that point where we're going to complete this. So I call them the True Completeness Course. And this is where you have the possibility to complete this right now, with this isness, to see this, but doesn't mean that, okay, it's like I'm done. It's like, okay, what do I do now, or I do nothing? No, that's not it. There's always a lot to do, because there are individuals in creation that are struggling to become more aware. So it's like a woman that keeps having children. It's like, okay, we got the next baby and the next baby and the next baby as the other ones are going on. And so again, It's this active awareness. It's this recognition of this all aliveness that is endless, and each person decides. So again, I go off what the real guides are demonstrating. They are the intermediates, we'll say, between the is and the people that are unaware on the earth. And I see what they do, and I take the risk to decide certain things and see if they'll back me. I just take the risk, you know. And when they do, it's a crack up, because I try to make sense of it the best I can with what's going on here in this crazy world. But at the same time, confrontation. You have to rattle people's cages a little bit to, again, we have rights too. Everybody has rights. And so, yes, Charles, according to what you said and what you're presenting here, yeah, but the isness itself, it's interesting. And yes, it is. It becomes a skill. And it downright does. It becomes a real skill. And it's a challenge to have this skill. It's like a person that's a professional musician or something. That's a skill where you stand and you are the musician. I see that this is where you stand real in a universal position. What the all is, you become that. You got to figure it out. It is a skill to stand there and do that and to really accomplish that. And so who will do that? Who will honorably do that? Aside from everything else, aside from their own personal life, routines and idea and relationships and all these things. Guess what? It'll all still be there. You're not giving up anything. It's just that your awareness takes the place of all these things to where you see everything now. But yet, see, again, you got to deal with your personal self. And these things are very important, thinking that they come first. Well, again, you decide.